What's up, everybody? Try to get comfortable here. It's kind of an awkward place. I'm sitting out in front. It's a beautiful day. I guess I should probably have it turned towards the sky, but you get the drift. Some nice clouds in the sky out here, and I just thought it's more of a, suitable environment for making videos, and I prefer to be outside. It's just that there's always, some asshole on a Harley, or my neighbor revving his engine up, or people screaming. And it's funny because one of my channels that I subscribe to, his name's Aaron Gok, and he makes videos. I think he's from South Africa, and he was making his video outside today, and it was the first time he'd ever made one outside, and he said he was always afraid of being distracted. And I just thought that was funny, because for so many years, lo and behold, the first couple of years on YouTube, I'd make them outside, and I'd get annoyed and have to start over, or maybe try to edit it out, but I was never into editing, so I just never really got around to it. Most of the time I just erased the video, but I have erased a lot of videos over the years. But anyhow, enough rambling about videos. It's funny because I actually came out to make this video to share something that I wrote, and it's a paper that I just finished writing a little while ago, and I would consider it like a blog, and I started thinking about this. I've written so many long blogs. I would even call them short stories, but I've never uploaded them anywhere. Like, I post a couple on Facebook here and there, but I don't like posting things to Facebook. I hate Facebook, and especially since I don't like posting it. The things that I write, I don't like posting anywhere online, because since they're not copyrighted, or anybody can steal my work, and Facebook owns anything you post on there. Any picture you post, they have the rights to. Any quotes or anything you post, they own the rights to. And some things are private, so I thought I'd come out here and read the paper out loud, but it would have taken me like 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and I'm afraid that I'll get interrupted, so I'm just going to make a video kind of talking about the ideas in the paper. And I'm going to eventually upload it, but I didn't want to do a video of me reading the paper. So I have this nice Tascam voice recorder I got, and I was going to start doing like vlogs with it, or rather, I should say podcasts, I guess, with it, so I could record on my own time and then upload it with some pictures and stuff. But I really like the face-to-face, with the camera. But I thought, when I do that, I have my headphones on and I can't hear anything in the background. I'm afraid my kids will come interrupt. They're playing Minecraft right now, and when they have their time, twice a day they get their time, like an hour to play whatever games they want, as long as they're reasonable. I tell you, parenting in this world is crazy with digital devices. I mean, I can't say enough about what a pain in the ass it is to raise kids with, all the exposure to media and devices. But, ew, something gross in here. It looks dead. Get out of here. Anyway, the paper that I wrote, it was just about society and how you see these cycles of, the idea that we feel like things are new and different, but really it's just these repeating patterns and archetypes, and how, especially through the media, excuse me, it seems like all of a sudden we're in this post-truth era, because I've heard that a few times. And upon closer inspection, you find that we have always been there. It's just that people are much more blatant and unforgiving with their lies now. People don't care if they're caught. It doesn't matter anymore. It's become unfashionable to try to prove yourself, your point. It's rather just to say this is how it is, and you need to believe it. And why is that any different from what the church has been doing for thousands of years? Why is that any different from what pastors and priests have told their flock over and over, that, well, it is true because I say it, and I believe it because so-and-so says it. It's always been about what a person says. It's always been about what someone else tells you. And anything someone tells you, if you believe it strong enough, you've manifested a reality with it and built a connection to it, and you can create that for part of your reality. So it's basically like this. We create a collective reality just through how we perceive the world. In other words, if we think that certain things are a certain way, then we behave accordingly, and that changes the future. It doesn't change it, but rather determines things about the future. We can affect the future, but can we affect the past? And then there's these theories about feedback loops and how the universe works. But keeping it to the point, there's no such thing as post-truth. It's been fashionable to lie from the beginning of politics because, when our forefathers, let's say in the U.S., when they had something negative that happened to them, it was much easier to hide. Nobody could post it on Twitter or Facebook. If the media did get wind of it, they could just, smack some heads, kick some ass, and shut them up. Basically it was so easy to shut people up back then. Throw a few dollars their way, whatever it might be, and it never goes down in history. And so it's the idea that everything we've learned since the time we were born, since the time we could hear and read and talk, hasn't been a lie. It's been a subjective viewpoint. And we've developed our viewpoints based on that. And no two of us see the same thing. But we all lean together in these groups. What it is kind of grasping for straws. We've lost that old cultural unity that we just knew, our inherent instinct for millions of years to hunt and to gather. However we operated, once we became consciously aware of ourselves, we started making decisions, and then we second-guessed ourselves and started wondering, well, maybe is there a better way to do this? And it's caused us all kinds of problems along the way. Certain cultures have found good ways to farm for them over thousands of years. Then along comes Columbus, hey, you need to farm this way, and fucks the whole crop up. Same thing happened over in Papua New Guinea. People had been just harvesting in the wild and planting in small plots on the hillside. They said, oh, you need to just terrace the hillside, make nice flat plots. It worked great until it flooded out and they lost all their crops. So the white man didn't exactly know what he was talking about. What the point of that is that we've always wanted to share what we think other people need to know. We've always wanted to share what we believe others just have to figure out. You've just got to know this one truth, and then you'll be better off. And when it comes to food and a system of life, who are these guys who have only lived in their Western ways for 100 years or whatnot, able to tell a culture that's thousands of years old, this is a better way to do things, and found that most of the times it wasn't a better way to do things for that area. The people had felt out how to function. And so when you look to like the U.S. as thinking, oh, the United States, this great culture, now it's 300 years old. It's a mixture of all kinds of different people trying to escape the old world persecution of other religions. And it's a giant chaotic melting pot of different opinions, religions, beliefs, and ideas. It's completely different than any other country. It doesn't have a cultural unity. We don't have culture. Our culture is the country, and the country is based on what we've been told about our past. And so now all of a sudden we get these things called alternative facts and post-truth era, as if we'd ever been given the truth. It's like the old mushroom saying, treated like mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed bullshit. All these old sayings, they all have depth and meaning. They all make sense. You can go back to old, fashioned comics from 100 years ago, and they're saying the same thing. They show the fat cats on Wall Street getting rich and lying to the people. So why the fuck do we put up with it? Why do we tolerate it? It's just a human condition. We follow the leader. People can convince us that they are the alphas and they're the leaders, then we'll believe them. And for those of us who aren't, I don't find myself to be a leader type, but I don't want to be a follower. So I find myself to be maybe an informer, somewhere in the middle, where I just like to discuss. I guess that's what philosophy is. Philosophers aren't heroes. I'm a thinker. I like to think about stuff. That's what I do. And, I know somebody's thinking, it's not very productive, but, it's very productive because for me, I'm trying to understand not where I come from or the depths of life and the deepest questions. I've moved past that. It's never an issue of understanding God or the universe. It's a matter of understanding how that larger picture reflects in each one of us, and therefore how to operate and navigate within my life to the best of my abilities. And to do that, I have to hone my skills. For example, if I don't make a video and speak for a little while, then I start to kind of lose my ability to articulate and function and say the things I want to say. I'm not that great at speaking already, but I've learned to develop it over time and really want to, be able to convey what I want to say without getting tongue-tied. The same thing with writing. If I don't write and I don't actually handwrite things, I'll lose my handwriting skills, but if I don't write at all, even typing or blogging, I kind of lose that ability to really put something, coalesce it all into a format where I can say, this is how I feel about this subject, because YouTube videos, most of them are on the fly. A lot of people spend a lot of time on their YouTube videos making sure that the wording's right, cutting and pasting and removing things and adding in pictures, and I'd love to do that stuff, but it's not what I'm about. I'm not here to impress you with how many pictures or how much background music I can put in my video. I'm a guy sitting in front of his garage talking about life, and some people like that and some don't. But that's the life of a philosopher, a thinker, just ideas without trying to prove myself. But that leaves me also vulnerable to not having my own ideas and theories, without my own faiths, without my own beliefs about what should and shouldn't be true. And believing there never was any truth is a dangerous proposition, because it leaves you open to a lot of, the same problems you get from believing everything. If you believe everyone, you're screwed. Damned if you do, damned if you don't, Living is a tricky endeavor. I guess while I'm making a video, I'll show you the day. Not too bad, huh? Yeah, you just don't want to buy into the fear. I guess that's all I'm, when you realize that it's always been this way, things are a little chaotic now, but what's the worst that could happen? There could be a nuclear war, there could be a virus or a disaster, solar flare, EMPs, anything could happen. But so what? You're going to die either way. Sorry to say. So if you do make it through, there's an excitement in a new world to start over, and that's kind of what the paper I wrote was about. Starting over after the collapse of this empire, because like a phoenix rising from the ashes, every empire has a new empire rise up from it somewhere. My feeling is that when the current empires crumble, and I see it as a world empire, because it's all one now, the globalization has become so integral that we are entwined so tight that it's difficult to walk away from our connections to one another in these countries. The belief that I have is once it starts to go and unravel, it's really going to go. And the hammer's being barely held up by a few strong men, and the threads are about to break and everything's going to crumble down, and that's a new beginning. Because everything gets chaotic before it falls apart. So it's looking towards the demise of a society is not a bad thing. Culture is not your friend, unless culture ever existed in the first place. And I guess that's kind of the whole point I'm getting at here. What we believe to be culture is really just a collection of archetypes, ideas, and puzzles and patterns and strings that we tie together and try to share with one another. And when we find somebody who agrees with us or has a similar picture, we shake their hand and say, right on, you know what's going on. Until we admit none of us really do, well, we'll all be in the same boat. The first step in knowing is to admit that we know nothing. And we'll work from there. Take care, everybody.